Hi everyone. Today I'd like to talk about removing that mask. The question is, how long have you been having that mask on? The question is, since when have you put on that mask? The question is, till when will you leave that mask on? What's amusing is that most of us don't even know that we have our mask on. I can say this in such conviction because for the longest time, I didn't know I had any mask on. I wasn't even aware of my mask. It was an invisible mask put on in front of me constantly. I was constantly wanting to please people around me. I was the biggest people pleaser that I know. It didn't serve me in any way. Because tomorrow, when I'm at my deathbed, how do you think I would feel? That all I did all my life would be please people. And for those of you that are in this situation now, for those of you that know what I mean by people pleasing, have gone through it or are going through it now, will know that in the journey of people pleasing, most of the time, there is no appreciation. Most of the time, there is no fulfillment. Most of the time, there is no happiness. And for those of you that have gone through this for a number of years, will know this even more on a deeper level. Because at this point, if you are still in that journey, or at this point, if you have gone through that journey for X number of years, at this point, you'd be the kind of person who feels depleted. You'd be the kind of person who feels low on energy. You'd be the kind of person who is constantly complaining and cribbing about life. You'd be the kind of person who will always be pointing fingers outward and blaming situations, circumstances, and people outside of you because you're not even aware of yourself. You're not even aware of your surroundings. You're not even consciously aware of your presence. It's time for you to remove that mask. It's time for you to acknowledge what you're feeling. It's time for you to own your truth. And at this point, you have the entire planet by your side. You have the entire universe surrounding you with the energy for you to heal and deal. Because at this point, you're put in a situation whereby you're actually locked in the comfort of your own home. You're actually locked with more moments to spend with yourself than you ever had, with more moments to face your demons, with more moments to face your fears, with more moments to face your loneliness, with more moments to face your frustration, with more moments to face your sadness. And now, you have two choices, either to face them or to keep those masks on, even when you're at home. If you keep doing this, you are just hurting yourself. If you keep doing this, you are just alive but not living. You are just blocking life from you. You're just blocking life through you. And you know what? This is not going to get you anywhere. So it's time you wake up. It's time you own who you are. And by owning who you are, I mean accept your truth, accept your identity, accept who you are at this moment for now. And how can you start to break the pattern? How can you start to break the cycle of your unhappiness, of your depression, of your frustration, of your anger, of you always constantly finding issues outside of yourself and thinking that the other person is at fault, the other situation made you react? When are you going to start taking ownership of your life? When are you going to start being the adult that you are now? Now, don't take this personally because I'm not judging you. In judging you, I would be judging myself because I have been that person. And in judging myself, I wouldn't have gotten out of it. I got myself out of it by accepting my situation. I got myself out of it by owning my situation. I got myself out of it by surrendering to that moment. Now, this can get a little confusing because one may think that if you surrender to the moment, then how do you get out of the moment? But it's so interesting that the simplest thing is to surrender to that present moment, but not surrender in a way whereby you allow that moment to take over you, but surrender to that moment by being in presence of that moment, by being aware of that moment. So if something is taking place, if you're aware, you're not just in the doing mode. You're not just constantly just pleasing and pleasing, but what happens when you're present and when you're aware, you're able to see yourself about to do the pleasing action. But what you do instead is, because you're so present, because you are at surrendering mode, you pause, you're present, and then in that present moment, you take a different action. In that present moment, you step back a little bit. In that present moment, you feel the feelings of fear, you feel the feelings of your ego, you feel the feelings of your frustration. And when you allow yourself to feel all those feelings and be present in those feelings, you're able to slowly and surely, in that being, redirect yourself, in that being, divert yourself, in that being, be conscious about what you're going to do next. And things don't need or doesn't need to take place out of reaction. Things can take place by responding. And when you are present in surrender mode, you will respond appropriately to that moment and not react inappropriately to that moment. Start being you. Start expressing yourself more. Start showing up for you more. And if you've forgotten who you are, then stop. If you've forgotten who you are, then pause. If you've forgotten who you are, then start expressing yourself more. Start showing up more. Start being you more. Start approving of you more. Start standing up for you more. And if you find it hard, if you find it challenging, remind yourself that you have been with you longer than anyone else has been with you. So you owe it to yourself to first be true to yourself before you're true to anyone else. Because you know what the truth is? You can never be true to anyone else if you're not first true to yourself. You may think that you're being true to others by not honoring yourself, by not prioritizing yourself. But let me tell you, if you cannot honor yourself and if you cannot prioritize yourself, you can never honor another person truly and authentically. So it's time that you start being true to yourself, that you start honoring yourself, that you start living in your essence, you start living in your being, you start living in your truth, and you start removing that mask layer by layer. I'm not saying that overnight remove that entire mask, but I'm saying start shedding, start removing that mask. And I know that it will be scary, it may be fearful, it may seem like something really hard to do, but you know what? Do it anyway, Because when you take that step forward, when you keep making those changes, when you keep changing those patterns, you are rewiring your entire cell in doing so. And you're rewiring yourself to believe that there is more in you, there is more outside of you, there is more around you. And it all starts from you. To see changes, you need to change first. To share a different story, you need to come out of your story. And how are you going to come out of your story if you have not allowed yourself to come out of your shell? Yes, it's time you get out of that shell. Yes, it's time you get out of your mask. What are you waiting for? What else needs to happen in this planet for you to wake up? If you don't wake up now, then I'm not sure when you will. I hope you found this video useful. I'd like to thank you for listening to me. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to share a part of me with you. I'd like to thank you for the start of honoring yourself. I could make a suggestion for you to start this journey. Start by waking up every single morning, and as you wake up, smile to yourself. That's the first way you can honor yourself. Smile to yourself and hug yourself and say, I love you to yourself. Embrace yourself. And thereafter, I want you to start feeling for at least 5 things that you're grateful for at that very moment. Start with this change, because it is one change that leads to another. I look forward to chatting with you soon again. And remember, I love you.